My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Hey there, folks. Welcome back to another exciting episode. If you are a Canadian and you've been following real estate, if you've been listening to my show any time of the last year and a half, you probably realize that a lot of Canadians are looking south of the border for real estate investing opportunities. The prices are better. The landlord tenancy rules tend to be better in most states. There's just so much more information down there. And there just seems to be 10 times the opportunities because there's 10 times the population in the good old US of A. Well, if you've been curious about that, then you're in for a real treat today because our guest, Kevin Bratch, is a Canadian who is not only doing real estate deals down in the States, but he's one of those smart guys that understands how to put together software. And he's come up with a software for Canadians who are interested in investing in the States. So, Kevin, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Great. Thank you for having me, Dave.
All right, my friend, before we jump into the software and all that kind of fun stuff, tell us a little bit about your real estate investing journey and what first sparked your interest in going south of the border.
For sure. Yeah, so going way back, why I jumped into real estate. Well, I was working in construction with my dad back in the 90s, and I live out here in Vancouver. So out here in the Northwest, it's cold, it's wet, and working out in the elements wasn't exactly too much fun. And I always saw like the realtors in the show homes and all dressed up, drinking coffee, looking good, and out of the elements. So I thought, hey, I'd love to be one of them one day, so I can also look good and not be, soaking wet and covered in mud. And yeah, that was my goal initially. And what I did was I got my real estate license back in 2006. I eventually opened up a real estate brokerage. I had a mortgage brokerage at one time,
Wow.
and what I did was I just kind of went through all of the licenses that were available. I wanted to just absorb everything in real estate and learn all about it. So I acquired all the licenses that you possibly could. And I kind of developed a niche where I was working with real estate investor clients out here in Vancouver, and we're putting together deals. And what I did was working with them. I learned quite a bit about becoming an investor, and with Seattle only being about 2.5 to 3 hours from Vancouver, I was just curious about what's happening down south, how it's similar to Vancouver and things like that. So what I did is I just went down a journey starting in 2015 of starting to invest in Seattle and Bellingham and Everett and everything kind of along the coast that was close proximity to me. So I quickly learned like a house is a house is a house. It doesn't matter really where it is on what side of the border.
Yep.
A human being needs to live in one. So either way, it's a good investment. So that's kind of how I got started and why I went into investing down south.
All right. So, yeah, fascinating backstory. What led you to decide that you needed to build out a software system for Canadians who want to or who are investing in the States?
Well, initially, I when I started investing in the U.S., I quickly learned that first of all, it's a lot more competitive. There's a lot more deals out there. Obviously, the 10 times the population, and the data is more robust. Like there's a lot more free information available to the average person, as opposed to where Canada there's quite a bit of red tape and bureaucracy that doesn't allow a lot of information to flow into the regular person's hands. So
That's why you have to go through a realtor so much more in Canada than in the States.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely the reason why I became a realtor too, is to kind of be privy to that
The
knowledge and
inside scoop.
information.
Yeah.
Exactly, the inside information. But yeah, going down south, I quickly learned it's similar, but now it's not just the realtors that have the inside information; it's almost everybody. So how to get that competitive edge is really to get certain data slightly ahead of the competition. And most real estate investors know that if you're the first one at the door, the first one to make contact with that homeowner, if you build a good rapport, you're most likely the one that's going to get the deal. So first to the door sometimes gets those deals. And yeah, so I kind of went down this whole rabbit hole of figuring out how to find this data, how to get it, how to have it ahead of some of the competition in Seattle. And we built this like beta software just for me and my investor group that we were using just to
Yep.
invest in Seattle, and we were quite successful with that, and it was working quite well. And then what I did is I went down and started opening up other avenues and states and cities and things like that, and I was able to find similar data that was putting some exclusive people ahead of the competition in certain spaces. So what I did was I built out this software. I used it with my close network first, and now just as of we're in June right now, so just as of mid-April, I've taken the software to the market, and now it's available to everyone.
So there's down in the States, there's a ton of different software available for accessing on market and off market type deals. What's kind of, it sounds like there's something different about yours. So what's kind of your unique secret sauce with this software?
For sure, yeah. So I used all of the software as well that was out there. I use Zillow and some of these other like PropStream and some of these other ones that are available to investors and things like that. And what I found was the data that I was receiving wasn't exactly completely like up to date. It was sometimes lagging. Case in point, like Zillow became a real estate investing firm, so if they're investing in real estate themselves, who are they going to really pass that data to? They're obviously going to keep it in house and invest in what they possibly can, and then send that data to the public down the
Give
road.
everybody else the leftovers.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
just, I don't know, it's just, I guess, corporate and human nature sometimes to see where these deals are at. So I would say my software sets it apart because I provide the data right up front, right when we get it. We're working with one of the best data providers in the US. And the reason I went down this road is because I want to do partnerships. I want to work with other individuals that are investors that want to get into the game, because the more of us that are working together to do this, the more successful we'll be together.
Okay, very cool. So big picture, I get it. Let's kind of go down to a little bit smaller picture, and maybe you can walk us through an example of how a Canadian uses this software, what the process is, what kind of properties they're looking at, what you recommend they do with the information they get on a property that they're interested in. Just kind of walk us through a day in the life kind of thing of one of your users that's actively investing in deals.
Definitely. Okay, so the first step would be go to my website and get a free trial. I'm offering a free 2-week trial, which is at reistar.com. And I got a specific one for Canadians. So if you're looking for specific Canadian content that would help a Canadian user at the end of the day, you can go to reistar.com/Canada. And what I
Now,
provide is
it's not for
based
Canadian properties, but it's for Canadians wanting to access American properties, correct?
exactly.
So the
Yeah.
the the main websites for everybody and anybody, including Americans who want to access that information, and then you've niched it for Canadians with that / Canada. Am I understanding that correctly?
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
After working with a bunch of Canadians, like I figured out what the common questions were, what the pitfalls were, and what they really needed. That was different from an American that knows their own turf, that knows understands what they're working with.
And who doesn't need to set up multiple cross border type things to to be able to do deals in a different country, kind of thing, right? So that's a big part of it.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, step one would be to get that 2 week trial, test it out, jump in the software, see how it all works. I got a ton of training in there, a ton of resources and tools that would help anyone, whether they're a beginner or someone that's looking to put together syndications and things like that. So, second is once you're in there, you're able to access, like I said, 99% of the data across the US, which is residential and commercial.
Oh,
So
both.
if you're
Okay.
looking to just invest like somewhere very close to the border in proximity to where you live, you can look at very reasonably affordable places, single family homes, apartments, townhouses, whatever it may be. Or even if you're looking for like a second property, like a vacation property or something like that, you can search that and find that. I'd say the major benefit is I do have a pretty good niche in the foreclosure market. So there is a ton of pre-foreclosures, foreclosures, auctions, and bank-owned property and data that is coming through my software, which gives the end user ability to buy properties at a discount through buying them through that process.
Okay. So somebody jumps in, they start looking around the software, they got some training and stuff like that. Let's say, it's early days, but what are most of your Canadian clients doing investment wise in the States? Is there one particular thing that they're more doing than others, like fix and flips or burrs or small multifamily, mixed use commercial? What's kind of the preference at this early stage, early days, or do you know?
Right now, the hottest thing that a lot of people are getting into is fix and flips, and they're transitioning to burrs. Reason being is all the heavy taxation that's happening in Canada. If you go across the border, they have a 1031 exchange where you can port your profits to the next property and you can defer taxes and things like that. So it's really important for, I'd say, Canadians to understand how to invest in the US. It's not a complicated game, and although like a lot of people want to make it seem that way for whatever reasons to sell courses and things like that, it is not very complicated. Literally, it's the same process as buying a house out here. You're going through an escrow as opposed to like giving a deposit and going through a notary or lawyer. It's all very similar, and like the fix and flips is something that a lot of people are familiar with. Like me with my construction background, that's kind of how I got into it. I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
turning a property that needed some, work done into something amazing that you can turn around and sell for a profit. It's a lot of fun. But with that being said, I think that's probably the best place for like beginners to begin. And that's kind of my clientele niches around that, where people are doing the one or two properties every couple of months and scaling up from there.
Fixing and flipping. Okay,
Yeah.
very cool. So let's use an example of somebody who's into, maybe they got some experience fixing and flipping in Canada. They want to get more bang for their buck in the States. Uh, so they go through your software, they pick a market, they find a property. Um, what happens next? Like, how do they make an offer? Are these on market, off market type deals? Are you recommending that people are, finding multiple properties and making multiple offers or reaching out? Like, what does that kind of look like, Kevin?
Yeah, so there's two options here. Either you could do it like how some people are doing it if they have connections out there with real estate agents or with friends and family or whatever it may be, they could put together deals with them. I'm also partnering up with individuals out here and doing one-on-one coaching to help somebody get through the process of their first property. So whether if they were to find something out there, the best thing to do is either to reach out with a local agent in that area, let them know you're a Canadian, you want to put an offer on a property, and there's a lot of incentives on the bank side here. You are able to get Canadian financing on one property out there in the U.S. So that's a great thing. And there's a lot of banks in the U.S. that allow Canadians to qualify with their taxes and information for one-off properties as well. So it all depends. You just kind of researching and finding the right banks. Me myself, I was doing a lot of hard money loans, a lot like private lending out here, and we found that pretty successful because of the rate of return we were getting. We didn't mind paying the fees and things like that. So it all just depends on what your end game is with those investment properties. If you're looking to get into the business of fixing and flipping, which I think is a fantastic business, especially if you like like most Canadians, we all live almost along the border. We can get over in a couple hours if need be. And worst case, if you have to take a flight, like man, if you're taking a flight to make 50 or 100 grand on a property, I think it's worth it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Plus it's a business write-off. So there you go. So yeah.
exactly. But yeah, I think that's probably the best way to get started.
So Kevin, switching gears slightly, obviously this is a huge project for you. It's probably taken up a lot of your time and focus. But what are you personally doing these days, investment wise, down south? Are you still actively doing deals? Are you doing flips, or what kind of properties are you looking at?
Yeah, so the markets I'm in again right now is I'm in Seattle. I've always been in Seattle, so we're actively looking for deals. We're doing some small fix and flips and stuff like that right now. And two other markets I just opened up. I have Austin, a good friend of mine that I was doing investments out here in Vancouver with, moved to Austin 2 years
Oh,
ago. So
nice.
it's great. I got somebody super trustworthy that is scouting deals. So we're putting some deals together out there, and I'm working with a real estate broker owner that is based out of Miami, and so he's out there as well. A side note is during I think 2021, I spent about 10 months in the US with my wife and kids, and we basically traveled across the US. We stayed 6 months in Florida. So I really wanted to get a real good understanding of certain markets, especially these hot ones like Florida is on fire, Texas is on fire. I spent about 6 months in Florida, about 2 months in Texas. And I know quite a bit about like Arizona and stuff like that. I haven't got into that market yet. A lot of Canadians are in that market. They love it because it's just sunny, and
Yeah.
some of the properties are very reasonably priced. But yeah, that's essentially what I'm doing. Always looking for deals, always looking to put together deals. And I'd say down the road, in the next year or two, I'll be putting together some syndications and getting into multi.
Very, very cool. Awesome. Well, we already mentioned the website, but let's do it again. If people want to find out more, take that free trial, connect with you, where's the best place for them to go?
For sure. Yeah, you can jump into www.reistar.com or /Canada. And yeah, once you are kind of in my sphere and on my lists, like there's a lot of different things that you can do. We can work one on one. You can be in this deal program where we pitch deals to a certain group. And there's a lot of ways to get involved. And I think Canadians as a whole, it's an exciting time to just learn about the US if you don't know too much about investing out there.
Well said. All right. Thanks very much, Kevin. Great having you on the show. And everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. And we will see you next time.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now, at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.